Alright, I'll be getting started in just a minute here. We're doing Mario Preschool years. That's pretty good timing, actually. We're ready to move on. It's from TL, Western Light. Alright. And we got the usual setup here, with the real-time corruptor up top, and the glitch harvester down below. And we have our emulation window off to the right, which you can't see just quite yet, but we're going to unpause the emulation here and get going. So the way I sort of do things is I explain sort of how to use the real-time corruptor, how to use the glitch harvester as I go along, and while I'm doing that, I collect a number of corruptions, and I throw them into a stockpile. And at the end of the stream, I do a rundown of all the corruptions that we made, and I make them available online in case you want to download them, play with them yourself, or re-corrupt them to see if you get different results. So that will be available after the stream. You can check some of my previous streams. I know I've done Tomb Raider, What have I also done? A couple Harvest Moon games, you know, stuff like that. And you can download the stockpiles, and as long as you own a copy of that game, you can load it up. So, let's go ahead and skip through here. And I've only ever seen this played, I've never actually played it myself, so this will be a new experience for all of us. Let's start off by click on these guys. I believe my controller's all set up. However, I can't click on them. Can't click on anything. Come over.
Let's go to Counting World.
There we go. Let's go to Counting World. And I imagine we click on these things and they count. Can I click on cars?
6 cars. 1.
Oh god.
2. 3. 4.
I hate it already.
5. 6. 6 cars.
Okay, great. Is there anything else we want to count? I don't know. It's bad I can't actually use my mouse. I have to drag this very slow controller over.
7 books. 1.
Oh no, we're not doing that.
2.
Skip through that.
3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 7 books.
And 4 plants and 3 teddy bears and 5 paintbrushes and
1.
8.
Paintbox. 1.
Oh, 1. Okay.
1. Paintbox.
Alright, let's start with corrupting this. So how we're going to begin is we have a couple ways to attack this ROM and see if we can produce corruptions for it. Starting off, we want to create what's called a save state, so we can keep going back to a clean save without all the various corruptions we throw onto the ROM. So we're going to do that in the glitch harvester by selecting save state 1 here, hitting change in order to switch the state between save and load, and hitting save. We can also throw a name on this like counting. And that's our loaded save state. Where now if we say move the mouse over here, this will snap the mouse back to that save state. So from there, we can mess with a couple of the memory domains that we have available to us, and those memory domains are listed here. We have WRAM, CartRAM, VRAM, OAM, etc, etc. Now some of these are quote-unquote safe to corrupt, while others are not so much. By safe I mean you can easily corrupt them and rewind the emulation without breaking the emulator, to put it simply. And those ones that are safe to corrupt, the real-time corrupter can automatically tell you what those are, at least within these predefined terms. And those are the WRAM, VRAM, and OEM, at least for the SNES. There are other ones that I'm fairly confident we can still mess with, like CartRAM, which is just the cartridge ROM. I'm sorry, not CartRAM. We can mess with, let's see, CGPRAM? CGRAM? I'm fairly confident we can mess with anything that's RAM, because it's only temporary, as opposed to if I was affecting like the ROM, for example. If that actually affected the save file, or if that actually affected the ROM itself, you know, that would run into trouble. We wouldn't be able to rewind it, it might mess with our save state, we might need to reboot the entire emulator, and if you're making a stockpile, you could risk losing that stockpile if, say, the emulator crashes. So we won't be messing with CartRAM or System Bus for that reason, but I'm fairly confident we can mess with CGRAM and APU-RAM. We're going to mess with those later though. Usually, at least for SNES, one of the most popular and, well, I don't know if it's popular, one of the easiest memory domains to corrupt is WRAM. And we're going to do a very low intensity corruption for it. And we're going to hit manual blast here and take a look at the emulation to see if we notice anything happening. And we're going to keep doing that. Nothing immediately pops out to us. So what we can do instead of manually hitting manual blast every single time is we can hit start auto corrupt. And that means every one step in the emulation, defined here by emulation steps, it's going to corrupt. And that's based on the clock speed of the cartridge. But we can increase that to say every 5 steps, add a corruption of intensity 1, and we're going to do that. So every 5 steps are automatically applying a corruption now. And we can still mess with the emulation itself, like let's count brushes.
1, 2.
We can notice immediately, we can stop auto corrupting,
4,
and notice that the kid on the right, he's missing an arm now.
5.
So let's keep going, at least until it breaks.
6 cars.
If we know stuff isn't happening fast enough, we can either, that's normal, right? Yeah, it's fairly normal. I mean, I've had that I've seen that happen before. What's it? Look up woundedwarriors.com. You'll see what they're talking about. We can increase the intensity in order to get corruptions to happen faster, or we can we can decrease the error delay to also make them happen faster. So now we'll see them a lot faster.
6 cars.
And you notice the monotone sound and nothing else is happening on screen. We know that it crashed, so we just need to rewind the emulation to a point where it wasn't crashing.
6 cars.
And we see some flickers on the screen. They stop counting again. We can rewind. And we may be doing too high of a corruption, in which case it's crashing too often. So we want to maybe like load our save state and start fresh. We're still auto corrupting.
6 cars.
Something very weird happened to her hand. She has 2 tiny hands for her left hand. Oh, she's missing an arm, and another crash. Alright, so it's fairly obvious that we can mess with WRAM in a lot of ways, and it usually produces some interesting results on screen, whether it be graphical, mechanical, stuff like that. So that's usually my go-to for my first couple of corruptions within the glitch harvester. So we're going to load our save state. And the way the glitch harvester works is it sends just one blast of corruption to the ROM, whether that blast of corruption contains 50 corruptions, 100 corruptions. It will depend on the various parameters that you set. So for example, if I wanted to send 100 memory writes to the ROM, with all these other parameters kept the same, like we're still using the same engine, still sending to the same memory domain, we can blast that data. It will create a save state for us, and what we're viewing now is the results of those 100 memory blasts. And we can actually look at those too by right-clicking this save state within the stash history. And right here we have all the writes that got done to memory. It'll give you all the source addresses, the parameter that I wrote to there, stuff like that. And then that's where the corruption engine comes in handy, because right now we're using, up here at the top left, the Nightmare engine. There's also a couple other ones like Distortion engine, Hell Genie. Within the Nightmare engine, you can choose your blast type. Right now it's random values, but we can do tilt values instead. And we'll do the same corruption again. And now we'll look inside the second save state. We'll open that in the blast editor. And we notice now at all these source addresses, we're sending just the parameter 1. So that means we're either adding or subtracting the value of 1 from all these memory addresses. And, you know, depending on the game, that can have different results. Usually I'll do increment and decrement values if I want to change either like player locations or if I want to change actual values. It will result in not corrupting the game, or crashing the game I should say, whereas random values are more interesting for just changing things out, right? Anyways, let's see if we can get some interesting corruptions. The nice thing about the glitch harvester is you can just keep pumping out those corruptions again and again and again until you have like a stash history of like 50 items, and then maybe you'll have one that you want to throw on the stockpile. So we're going to do exactly that. And we're going to keep the intensity, I think, at 100. It doesn't seem to be crashing too often. What I am going to do though is I'm going to change the blast type back from tilt to random. So we're just throwing random values at the ROM. And let's see if we get some interesting corruptions out of this. A good visual indicator on whether the game has crashed or not is to look at something that's moving on screen. Like I'm looking at the mouse and making sure that that still has the sort of rotating effect. If I see that, then I know the ROM hasn't crashed, which is a good sign. And then, you know, you may proceed with the corruption if there was any available. I guess take note of one. And we're not seeing too many. Like in that last one, you can go back in the save state. Right here. The guy's left arm is on the ground. So that's neat. It's not interesting enough maybe to throw on a stockpile, but cool to see. And we'll continue along here. And I'm not noticing too many things going on, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the intensity from 100 to 300, and you can play with that value as much as you want in order to either increase the amount of corruption while risking crashes, or decrease it to stay safe, but maybe decrease the amount of corruptions you actually get. And something we haven't been doing, which I'm going to start doing now, in just a moment, is I'm going to click on one of these things, like say the cars, and create another save state. So that right when we load the car sort of animation for this, we'll see corruptions immediately. So we're going to set another save state in slot 2, and hit save here as soon as I hit the button. So click save.
6 cars.
And now when we load that,
6 cars. 6 cars.
they say 6.
6
So we're going to see if we can corrupt either those words or how the kids count it.
2
So start doing that now.
6 cars. 1 2 6 cars. 1 2 6 6 cars. 1
I think we're safe to even use a higher intensity, so we're going to do that.
3
We'll bring this up to 600, doubling our intensity.
6 6 cars. Yellow off. Picked 1 2
That's alright.
3 4 5 6 6 cars.
So we got a little auditory corruption there. Interesting, but I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to see if we get something more.
6 cars. 1 2 3 6 cars. 1
For a moment there, her arm was his arm.
3
What did the arrow become?
5
Is that an elbow?
6 6 cars. 6 cars. 1
Why is her hand over there?
3 4 5 6 6 cars.
Oh, and they're both missing hands. Let's try increasing the intensity some more. We'll bring it up to 800.
6 cars. 1 2 3 4 5 6 cars. 1 2 6 cars. 1 2 6 6 cars. 1
Wait, was his hand blue? It was! Alright.
6 cars. 1
Oh
2
boy. Ah, there's too many crashes there. Ah, I wonder if I can preserve that background corruption.
1 2
Ah, that's not too interesting. We'll keep moving on.
6
Sometimes if you see a corruption that you kind of want to keep, but you're not sure because it crashes,
2
and you're not sure if it will be worth saving, it can be worth trying out.
4
In that case, I didn't want to keep it, but
5
if I see something interesting like that again, I'll go for it.
6 cars. 6 6 cars. 1 2
There's something wrong with his hand. Oh god.
4 5
uh,
6 cars. 1 2 3 4
Peach looks like she's pretending she doesn't have arms so they don't feel left out.
6 6 cars.
You hear that, or is she? Oh wait, is she missing arms? Oh yeah, she is.
6 cars. 1 2 6
Lots of missing arm corruptions.
6 6 6 cars.
Alright. We're gonna start messing with the other memory domains just to see
6 cars.
sort of everything that's available to us. I'm going to load this other save state so we don't have to do the counting again.
3.
So our other memory domains that are safe to corrupt are VRAM and OAM. So VRAM is one that usually always works for all different systems, all different games, and what it does is it just corrupts what's visually available to you. And if I hit this just with manual blast, you'll see that everything turns sort of into pixely garbage, and it slowly becomes just cloud vomit. And while it sometimes looks interesting to throw visual corruptions in there, like this, where it's just VRAM, what's being drawn to the screen, a lot of the time it's not too interesting. It doesn't affect the mechanics of the game, it doesn't affect the actual objects themselves. It's just sort of the top layer. So usually I don't mess with VRAM at all, and I'll usually purposely unselect it if I'm doing larger corruptions or if I'm selecting multiple memory domains, just because we want to see what's going on to the characters, and if we have all this sort of, cloud vomit on top of everything, we won't be able to see what's going on. So we'll leave VRAM alone for most, if not all, of the stream. And usually you can clear VRAM. No, can't do it in this case. If there's like a pause menu, or if you can move screens or something like that, that usually clears the effect of VRAM, which is another reason not to keep it. Because it's only a temporary change, as opposed to if you lose something like Help Genie to make it a permanent change, it's going to be processor intensive, and it's just not worth the effort. So the last one that's safe to corrupt is OEM, usually the sprites or any other object files in the game. And the way to see if this memory domain is being used or not is to also, why does my mouse keep doing that? Is it, if I keep it still, it does that effect? Just stop working. Oh wait, it does that effect if you're hovering. Yeah, if you're hovering something. Anyways, if we see a flicker when we hit this, we can think that the OEM memory domain is being used, but in this case we're not seeing any flickers, so there might not be any sprites being stored there. There may not be other object files being stored there. If we do, how do we retreat down here? If we retreat out here, there may be some on the overworld. However, I'm doubtful. Yeah, if I'm hitting manual blast, this is a fairly high intensity. We should be seeing something happening, even if we auto-corrupt. We're not seeing anything. So we can assume the OEM memory domain is either not being used in this sense, the memory that's normally stored there is being stored somewhere else, something along those lines, I'm not entirely sure. But we'll go back to our save state. So we know that really the only interesting corruption we're going to get out of this, for the time being, is going to be, with WRAM. However, I'd like to give a try to the other memory domains, the CGFRAM and APURAM. I believe CGRAM is going to mess with, well, when I did, what was it, Harvest Moon for the SNES, it did sprites, the coloration of them, like the palette almost. So, yep, that's what's going on here. Oh god, Peach looks evil. Look at that. So I think I'll throw this corruption on top whenever I want to make something either a little more spooky or want to give it a good aesthetic. That's when I'll mess with the CGRAM. And moving along, let's load our save state once more. APURAM usually messes with the sound files or the audio or the music or something along the lines of that. However, we're going to do a much smaller intensity since I don't want it screaming in your guys' ears. So we'll do, let's say 20. And we'll manually blast that. Have your ear perked up. Yeah, we see a little bit going on. And then a crash, and however, can we rewind? We can still rewind out of this, so while it's not quote-unquote rewind safe, the data that's being manipulated may not be rewindable, in which case we just need to either load a save state or reboot the core, depending on how bad it is. This one, we can load the save state, it seems to be alright. So we'll do this a couple times, when we're looking for music corruptions. I'm using that term loosely because it could just be sound effects that we're messing with. It may be a little tricky to get the music corruptions. A lot of the time, it'll do exactly what you hear now, just a monotone sound with no variation. But every once in a while we get lucky. Maybe we'll speed up the song, change keys, stuff like that. We will load. And let's go back to just corrupting WRAM. I want to get at least one on the stockpile before we move on to the other engines. I want to try tilt values though. And let's also switch games, because this, I don't like counting. It takes a little too long. Let's try this one.
Go to listening world.
Listening world. That sounds great.
You picked the cow.
Alright. We're going to use the random blast site. We're going to clear our history down here in the glitch harvester. We're going to bring our intensity up to 1000. And how should we do this? Let's do it where we'll create a save state right when we click on the animal. So we'll write over slot 2. And I'll get ready to click, save.
You found the pig.
Now I'm going to do... Let's do it before we click on it. So let's do right here. Yeah. And then let's blast it. So this top one actually disappeared, but we can still click on it, so let's try that.
You found the goose.
Alright. I want to load that one again. I want to check out the other animal.
You found the donkey.
Okay, that sounds normal. Also, what's Luigi doing over here? You found the Luigi. Oh, it crashes. Alright, neat. Ooh. That's a neat effect. You found the LSD. We got a crash there. Got a crash. This one we're not clicking on anything, it's just having us an aneurysm. Can we click on stuff now? There we go. Alright. Crash. We'll probably see a lot of crashes. We have a fairly high intensity. It might be the case, and I'm not able to confirm this, I'm just guessing, but a game like this has a bunch of mini-games, a bunch of small games within the overarching game, and whereas in Princess Peach counting game, we had a lot of objects on screen, a lot of them had different counting values, if you want to call it that, so you can consider it almost like a little bit of a bigger game, depending on how they store the data and all that, whereas this is like 3 objects, a couple sound files, not a lot to go off of, so I feel like higher intensity corruptions on this minigame specifically has more of an effect because there's less data to deal with as opposed to on the counting minigame. But again, that's just speculation. I have no clue how to even prove that. I guess I can look up. No. If you... broke down the game somehow and looked at the data being stored in each minigame, I have no clue. Also, look at this goose.
You found the goose. You chose the frog.
Oh.
You found the pig.
You know, for these, I'm actually hoping... Also, my mouse is gone. This will be a fun one to mess with the sound files. Because I don't think messing with WRAM will actually affect those sound files, which is one that I would like to do. Just because, like, you click on the donkey and it doesn't make a donkey sound, or it makes an odd screeching sound, which I actually want to do with the goose, so let's create a save state for that. We'll load one. We'll get ready with goose. And I want Yoshi to almost be there, so that we don't have to wait for him to walk over there every time. So I'll click, save.
You found the goose. You found the goose.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. And let's mess with APU RAM here. And we'll blast send. Oh, and this is way too high, so we'll bring this down to 400. We'll bring this down to 200. That might still be too high.
You found the goose.
Lots of crashes. You found the goose. Domo arigato. Let's do 100.
You found the goose. You found the goose. You found the goose. You.
Okay, I might be going a little bit ahead of myself, but I think when we're actually hitting the goose, it's loading the audio file a couple seconds after we actually choose it, quote unquote. So we're not even noticing any auditory corruptions for the goose. So what I'd like to do is let's create a save state even close to where that goose sound goes off. If we do get a corruption, figure out what source address that corruption is being sent to, take that memory and then put it back into like this save state we have right now where it loads a couple seconds later. I think that would be an interesting hybrid corruption that would be kind of the effect we're looking for. So let's do that. We're going to create another save state. What's the best way to do this? We're going to load this one and just rewind it to the point we want it. Get ready, select save state 4, hit change, get ready to save it.
You found the goose.
Save. Perfect, that's exactly what I want. So we'll figure out if we can corrupt that. I'm going to click on history and we'll blast in data. Perfect. That is exactly what I want. Okay. Yes. All right. Great. Let's pause the emulation. That's exactly what I was looking for. I hate geese. They're awful. We're gonna select this save state within the stash editor. We're gonna hit open selected in the blast editor. And from here, again, we see all the corruptions that we sent to memory and their source addresses. And what I want to do is narrow that down just to that corruption where the goose voice is repeated over and over again. And in order to do that, we're going to disable half the memory writes that we do and see if the corruption persists after we load the save state that resulted from that. Sounds a little complicated, but you can just take a look. We're going to randomly disable half of these. You see half of these checkboxes are undone. And we're going to load and corrupt the save state that we create with the half that we have selected. And in this case, it actually crashes instantly, so possibly we selected the wrong half. So we're going to invert our selection and try the other half. And it crashed in both cases. Did I pause it? Oh, I paused it, that's why. So actually, well, this one seems to have it. If we load our corruption, this one has it. So what we're going to do in this case is remove the ones that don't have that corruption and do the same process again. Perfect, do we still hear it? So we're going to move disabled, disable half. That one doesn't have the effect we're looking for, so we're going to invert and load and corrupt. That one does. Remove, randomly disable, load corrupt. Still good. Still good. Great. And now we have our single memory write that creates this god-awful sound, which is this here. I'm going to take a quick screenshot because I want to keep, what would you call it, the parameters that it sends to memory in mind. So I'm going to
You chose the frog.
quickly note this somewhere. I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, I got that. Alright, great. So now that we have this, I don't want to save this on the stockpile specifically because it just looks like garbage. But I'm going to send it to my stash, and I wouldn't want to put this on my stockpile because say if someone came through and they just wanted to load this corruption and they're like, oh, what's this one? Goose hell. And they click on it, and it's just this. It's not entirely interesting. What we want to do is we have maybe someone click on something, so we'll go back to our save state here on 3. Here. Where we're, I haven't paused again. We're just selecting these guys. Oh, not there. This one. 2. We're just selecting these guys. And I'm going to do a very small intensity corruption, just 1. And we'll blast it to save state 2. That creates this save state here. Now I can edit that save state. Open it in the blast editor. And what we're going to do is we're going to change these values to be the one where it makes that awful goose sound. And that's why I have my screenshot here. I can take a look. It's set APU RAM. We're going to change the source address to be in hexadecimal 1db1, and the value we send to this address is going to be 97. And we're going to load this corruption and see if this has the effect that we want, where we click on the goose.
You found the goose.
And unfortunately, it does not have the effect I want. Shoot, that's disappointing. Alright. Well, hey, we tried. I imagine the reason why that didn't happen was because it's what I was saying earlier, where it only actually loads that specific audio file when you click on it. So maybe that value got refreshed. What we're going to do instead, let's see. I'm curious, I want to do a Houdini experiment instead. Houdini will set a value and it won't let that value change, similar to how Cheat Engine works, and it's actually Cheat Engine under the hood for BizHawk, but I'm going to do a corruption of 1, and I just want to see what that looks like within the Blast Editor. So I'm going to open this, and okay, so it just changes the Blast mode type, and I essentially want to do the same thing. So instead of mode set, we're going to use Houdini, which will permanently set that value. And we're going to do that to 1db1, like previously stated, with a parameter value of 97. And we'll see if this works, because I really want that goose sound. So let's try this.
You found the goose.
Perfect. I love it. That's how we engineer stuff. Alright, awesome. So, God, let me pause that. Sorry, I had to check my phone. So to explain what happened there, because that is awesome that that even worked, is we used a different engine which uses Cheat Engine, which forces a value to keep it forces a variable to keep its value. In which case we forced the value at this source address, 1db1, to keep this value 97, regardless of what happens in the emulation. If we go to a completely different minigame, no matter what, that source address is going to keep this parameter value. And we know that that parameter value creates this interesting goose laugh, so we forced that value, we clicked on the goose, and it got the laugh. It didn't need to change that address when it loaded the goose laugh. Instead, you know, it has this sound. So I'm very happy with the results on this. We're going to send this to the stash. Here it is. And we're going to send this to the stockpile, and we can give it a name. Ooh, I didn't even think of a name. I should have been doing that all along. Yeah, Demon Goose. What? It's not really. How about Goose Whale? Yeah. I hope that's how you spell whale. I think it's with an H though, isn't it? I get it right. Oh no, I got it right. Okay, cool. Of course I got it right. Alright. So, now from here, we can do a couple things. I do want to double check. We haven't seen what happens when we click on other animals. Maybe it loads the same sound file. I should say maybe it loads all sound files into that source address. We don't know that yet, so let's try the donkey. It does. Super interesting. Alright, so we actually have to change the name in this case, because it's not just Goose Whale, it's all the animals whale. Which is almost less of an interesting corruption, but that's alright. It's good for a first one, so we'll call it something like All Animals Cry. A little less interesting, but nonetheless it's still is cool. And what that tells us about the emulation is that all sound files go through that one source address. Kinda neat. That also means that if we re-roll the value of this corruption, re-rolling just means we're going to change the value that we send to that source address. Right now it's 97, but we can set that to be whatever. Maybe we can try 5 and 20 and all those different variables. And we'll see if it produces different results. Since we know it's going to mess with the audio of those animals, we should check that. So we're going to re-roll, check the audio. Doesn't sound any different in that case. We can try re-rolling again.
You found the donkey.
This one cuts it short. Also kind of interesting.
You found the donkey.
Also cuts it short. Let's say I'll cut it short.
You found the donkey.
That one does the repeating effect again. Cool. Alright. So nothing new. It's also load. Save state here. That sounds awful. So nothing new, but we found something new about this, which is cool. I like that. What else are we gonna do? So we can start fresh. We'll do a corruption of 50. And to get that effect, let's see. We had save state 4, this one. This is where we had that effect. So we'll start from there again. Ooh, that almost sounded better than the other one. Let's do that again. It does sound better, but we will leave it be for the time being. Something else I'm wondering is if I wanted to mess with the animal noise selection. So I click on the donkey, it makes the donkey sound. I click on the llama, it makes the llama sound. I'm wondering which memory domain handles which sound gets sent to the user. I don't think it's going to be APU RAM. I don't think it would be actually the sound, I guess in this case the RAM or the chip that's dealing with sound. I think it would be something in the logic of the game. So it'd be like, we can actually mess with the system bus in that case. But the actual logic, I don't actually know which memory domain that's going to fall within. I do want to quickly see the results of system bus corruptions. Which, I'm trying to remember exactly which system bus is gonna... what instructions or what values the system bus deals with. I'm trying to remember the documentation. I think it's anything that's within the scope of the program falls within system bus, in which case you could end up infecting like stuff like the ROM or the other unrewindable ones. This is rewindable though. So anyways, let's try a little bit of that. I'm curious. We need higher values though, so we're bringing this up to 300. Okay, so nothing immediately apparent, other than the pig eating itself. We are going to swap back. Let's try some CG RAMs. I want to see some cool effects, some cool coloration, some of that aesthetic. Which you might not actually get anything interesting. It might just be some bad coloration. That last one actually kind of looked like some Bob Ross mountains. Oh, they're in the top right. Let's do some more. Yeah, nothing too impressive yet. I think, as I said earlier, CG RAM corruptions I'm going to mostly use after the fact. Like if I find one WRAM corruption that looks super interesting and I want to add some coloration to it, I would use this. Oh, look, the night sky is over the mountains. That's neat too. But we'll leave this be for now. And again, I don't believe we can have any OEM corruptions because there are no sprites stored in this manner, so there's not. We won't mess with that. We'll mess with WRAM again. We are also using the Genie engine. Do we want to keep that? Yeah, let's keep that for the time being. We'll increase max cheats to 300. The max cheats is actually the limiter in this case, it's not the intensity. If the intensity is higher than the max cheats, it will only go up to the max cheats. So we'll do this. Genie can kind of be processor intensive, because it forces values to keep the same. It keeps variables holding their same value over time, which every single step the game, I should say the corruptor, has to rewrite that value. So that can be processor intensive. So usually you don't want a very high max cheat value. Let's swap back to this. Save state 2. Yeah, we're just selected again. And we'll do some much higher values. Let's bring it up to 2000 and we'll swap back to the Genie engine. I'm sorry, the Nightmare engine. That brought us back to the menu. 2000 might just be way too much for this, in which case, I don't know. It's overriding so much, it just doesn't know how to handle it and it can't run properly. Which might be the case so far, it looks like it. Lots of crashes. Oh, this works, surprisingly. Can't select anything, though. Oh, yeah, you can. Oh.
You picked the cat.
Error, no way to get in there. In path. Oh, boy. Error, allocation small. Okay, this is an interesting one. Not one I would throw on the stockpile, but just kind of cool to see. Like, there's error messages. I didn't think that was possible. Didn't think that existed. We'll blast some more data. You can't reach. Where you going?
You found the donkey. You found the pig. You chose the pig. You picked the goose.
I like how you can't choose those ones. They're outside his reach.
You found the donkey.
That cat looks suspiciously creepy. Another one, swap to the menu. Yeah. Ooh, that's a bad menu. God, look at Peach! Jesus! That's a dead Peach.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Wait, was that? Did you hear a pig's wheel?
You
You hit it, it makes a pig's wheel.
you
Oh, what are the other ones? Okay, I can click on these guys. Shoot. Well, let's see if the other.
you found the donkey.
If that persists, I want that corruption.
You found the pig. You chose the pig.
Anything other than pig.
You picked the goose.
Shoot, okay. It's only with the first one. That's unfortunate. That sounds amazing. Again, we could go through without Genie Engine and force it to stay the same, but it's a lot of work. For not so interesting effect.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Luigi woke up there for a second. Now he's back quick.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
That's one fucked up cat. Oh boy.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
He just went off screen. Oh, I kind of want to keep that one. Let's see. Do they all do that? Oh.
You found the donkey.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I'm curious. Let's save this corruption. I'm very curious about the results of this. So when you're going about removing all this unnecessary corruption along with the one that you created, you want to keep in mind specifically what effect you're looking for. So the effect I'm looking for in this one is the donkey going straight off to the left side of the screen. And if I can, maybe selecting the other two creatures, the other two animals, and having them also be the donkey in this case. We'll see if we can preserve that effect, because these might be multiple corruptions in one, in which case it's 2 or 3 memory writes. It's always better when it's just one memory right because it's easy to narrow it down. But we'll try to see if we can get this. We are doing a 2000 intensity, which means we have 2000 memory rights here, which can be a whole lot. So definitely sanitizing these corruptions is a good idea for stability. And it can take a little while, which is unfortunate, but
You found the donkey.
hopefully we can narrow it down. In this case, we just got rid of half of those memory rights, so there's now 1000, which is much better. Let me check again.
You found the donkey.
And even in the beginning, that looked visually better, and that cat looks fucking out of it. Look at that cat.
You chose the pig.
No, I didn't.
You chose the pig.
There's almost so much going on, I don't want to get rid of it. But the visual corruptions I don't like, because then you don't even see the animals. I don't want to keep the animals. And look at this guy. God, I love it. Anyways, this is working. We'll remove the disabled. Randomly disable another 50%, and try again. And I like at the beginning, this looks totally normal, and then
You found the donkey.
it totally doesn't anymore.
You chose the pig.
So in this case, I have a choice. Right now, it's a cat. I clicked on it, it said pig, which is one of the corruptions I want to keep. But however, the donkey didn't jump off the left side of the screen, so we know that if we remove the disabled in this case, we would be losing the donkey corruption. If we inverted it and remove the disabled, then we'd be losing the random selection one. I want to keep both. So in this case, I'm just going to re-roll my random disabling at 50% to see if I can keep them both. And it might take a little while, I might have to keep re-rolling, but in the end, having both corruptions can be interesting. Like, that's great, I love it.
You found the pig.
I might even want to go through Help Genie and make sure that them bouncing off the left side of the screen is a permanent effect.
You found the donkey.
However, oh shoot, I just noticed.
You picked the goose.
The random selection, in this case, is not happening, so I want to re-roll again, which is too bad, but we will.
You found the donkey.
Perfect. This should be pig.
You chose
No.
the
So, we're going to re-roll again, and if I don't get it on this one, we'll just try to keep this effect.
the donkey.
Oh, this is looking better though.
You chose
Perfect.
the pig.
That's what we want. Randomly remove disabled, I mean. And randomly disable another 50%.
You found the donkey.
And an indicator that we have both corruptions is the one where the random selection happens. You notice there's some black tearing around the top. I just mentally store that that is something I'm looking for when I get the second corruption. And of course, clicking on the donkey, he should move off to the left side of the screen. He didn't in this case, so I know that we don't have the first corruption, so I'm going to randomly disable again.
You found the donkey.
In this case, I know we don't have the second one, so I'm going to randomly disable again. And we're going to keep re-rolling until we have both of those effects.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You chose the You found the donkey. You found
Perfect.
the donkey.
And this is good. And this should be pig. Yeah.
You chose the pig.
Narrow it down slowly but surely. Takes a little bit of work to get what you want, but
Found the donkey.
oh, we didn't go off screen on that one. Shoot.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
I already know this has what we're looking for, so disable, load,
You found the donkey.
and this one doesn't.
You found the donkey.
This one does. And once you have those visual cues in your mind, this goes a lot faster. Like in this case, I didn't see the visual cue of the donkey, so keep going.
You found the
Visual cue of the donkey, keep going.
You found the
I have
donkey.
both in this case. Remove. And we're down to a decent number.
You found the
Oh,
donkey.
perfect. That's actually some luck. In which case, if we have like 8 or so, we can just start manually disabling these.
You found the donkey.
So we actually know that the visual corruption for the second effect is within these 4 that are being selected, so let's figure out which one it is. It's this one. That was some luck, so 25% chance we know that this one we don't want to remove, so I'm going to lock that one in place. And I'm actually going to invert the disable. And we know that the first effect with the donkey is within these 4, so we can remove the remaining amount and randomly disable these 50%, and we're just looking for the donkey effect now.
You found the donkey.
Did I do something wrong? I think I did something wrong. I think I got. Did I get rid of the fact that I wasn't supposed to? I think I did. Shoot. Because if we enable everything, yeah, we lost. Can I can't reverse this, can I?
You found the pig.
Shoot. All right. Well, we got the donkey effect. That was a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. I assumed it was this last one. Disable everything. Just enable this one. Well, yeah, I guess I already know if this is the case. Alright, so we don't have random selection. Oh, well. Not the worst thing.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
We can still salvage an interesting corruption out of this, though, if we use the force value with Hell Genie to make this happen for everyone that you click on. So we have this. I'm going to screenshot this again. And I should really make screenshotting easier for myself, but I usually have to throw it onto the website. I'm going to do here. Shoot. Load. Okay. Now, we have this set. I'm going to throw it on the stash just to have it there. And we're doing this to safe state 2. So now on safe state 2, I'm going to do a Hell Genie corruption of intensity 1. And blast it. And now on this new save state, I can open that in Blast Editor. And we can copy our values over. So instead of set, we want Hell Genie to the WRAM. Our source address is going to change to hexadecimal DE3. And the parameter value is going to change to CC. CC. And we're going to load that corruption. And now this should persist, at least for every animal, or at least everyone in this slot. Yeah, good. That's what we're looking for. And maybe these guys? I'm not sure. Nah, so it's only the one in the mid slot, which makes sense. We could try getting the same effect at these source addresses. I wouldn't know what. We would have to experiment with all 3 of them, which I don't want to bother doing, but we got it with the middle one. I'm happy with that. So we're going to send that to the stash, throw it on the stockpile, and say animal gets away. Again, not a super interesting corruption, but you know, I'm happy with it. We'll put a note on this corruption saying only the middle animal rockets off. Period. That's good enough. And do I want a note on this one? No, we're good on this one. This one makes sense. Alright, and after all that, we can now start doing another corruption. So we're going to switch back to the Nightmare Engine. We're bring the intensity back up to, let's keep it at 1,000. 2,000 is usually a lot to deal with. Let's see if we get anything else interesting. This one, Yoshi won't pick up the animals. Yeah, they'll just walk over them.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Something's wrong with the Luigi. I love it. Alright. Let's pause it real quick. I need to decide, do I like the repeating sound? Do I want him to keep saying it, or do I want him to just say it once? And then he says it for every animal that you click on. In which case it doesn't do the animal sound, like, you chose a pig. You just says, that works for me. So we're going to open this in the Blast Editor. And we're going to do the same as usual. Randomly disable half of them, see the emulation, sorry. Unpause here. And see if the corruption persists.
You found the donkey.
So it didn't persist in that case. We're going to invert the disabled, split and corrupt. There we go. Remove disabled. That works for him. And we'll just rush through this quickly.
You found the donkey.
That works for me. That works for me. That works for me. That works for me.
You found the donkey.
That works for me. That works for me. That works for me.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
That works for me. That works for me. That works for me. That works for me. That works.
It doesn't appear that we can get rid of the repeating effects, which is alright. That makes the decision for me. I was wondering if I want to remove that or not. Makes it a lot easier on me.
That works for me.
And it works for him, apparently, so that's good for me. Perfect. So, oh, and this is done with the Hello Genie engine. I didn't even notice. Oh, so we're forcing a value. I wonder what happened. Okay, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna copy that so I don't forget how to spell Hello Genie. We're gonna try set, which is the set mode. That's like essentially the other engine. That's the Nightmare engine. I know, it still repeats it. Alright, I was curious if that would change it. Control. Spell it Hello Genie. Hello Genie. Okay. And we have our corruption. So perfect, we'll send that to the stash. And from the stash, put that in the stockpile, and call this. That works for me. I'm actually really happy with that one. And something I didn't do with the animal gets away is we're going to re-roll it to see if we get a different effect with it.
You found the donkey.
Same effect. Same effect.
You found the
Different direction, that's kind of cool. Didn't expect that. Same effect. Different direction. Yeah, so nothing new there. And I want to see if we can do different values for that works for me. See if it gets maybe different voice lines. No voice line.
Coconut, 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 coconut.
What?
Coconut, coconut.
Okay, I'm gonna have some fun with that. We're gonna mess with that. We're gonna re-roll that a lot. I'm gonna quickly take a quick intermission break. It was getting scratchy, and I would like to grab some water. So I'll be right back in just a moment. I'm gonna grab some music for the meantime. I didn't queue any up, so I should have had some. Some good music. Just one of my recommended. There we go. I'll be right back. lower that down here. It's from The Sims, the original soundtrack. Alright, we'll switch back to corruptions here. And what I'm going to do in the meantime, oh, she's still saying coconut, is we're going to open this, that works for me, in the blast editor. And what we do when we reroll a corruption is we're essentially switching a couple things. First off, actually we're using the Hell Genie, so I'm not sure what we're switching out. Let's take a look at this one, our most recent coconut one. Okay, so yeah, it's the same thing. So we're going to be pointing at the same source address, the one in which, when you write values to it, it creates the sound that's being outputted, I imagine. And in this case, parameter value 34 makes the donkey say coconuts, and parameter value D, which is the hexadecimal value for... What is the hexadecimal value for that? D. Huh. Or unless this is hexadecimal 3 and 4. Anyways, I'm not sure. Figure that out. But, hey Baby Blue Ford, how you doing? Good to see ya. So we're going to mess with this value. And I think just increment it, just by either powers of 2 or by 1, just to see the different values that we hear. So we're going to load the corruption just with 1 and see what this sounds like. It's not bad! We just figured out that when you write to this source address, you can change the sound that comes from when you click on the donkey. Yeah, stressed out. Are you in college? I'm doing midterms around now, so it's stressed out for here too, but at least corruptions can make things a little better. We're gonna try 2. It seems like the lower values produce just like sounds. Like maybe that's how they store all the sounds that the kids and whatnot make. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy, and hopefully it takes the nerve off a little bit. Let's see, and that one freeze? No, I paused it. Here we go.
Show me, show me.
Show me.
Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me.
Let's see.
Show me.
This might take a little bit longer. Let's try just re-rolling. I think that'd be a little bit easier. So we're not going to do this in the blast editor. We're just going to select it from the stockpile and re-roll it from here. And let's unpause it. Oh, that was actually the correct value. What do you know? No sound.
Goose, goose, goose.
Goose. Ah, I kind of like that one.
Plant.
You found it! You found it!
I found what?
Pepper, cabbage.
You did well!
Apple.
Whoa!
Soft shows white. 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 Please spend your dog flower.
Please bend your dog flower. What? Alright.
Carrot.
It keeps going.
Coconut world. Spend your 7 pick over.
I'm sure there's
Is tomato.
a message in here somewhere.
Onion. Horse. Orange thumb. Short. White.
Okay, what produced this amazing result? We're gonna open this in the blast editor. The value is 62. That's just a random value that I wouldn't have guessed. That's lower than D, but higher than like 1, 2, 3 we were trying earlier. So that's just luck we got that. Let's try, I'm curious, 63. However, I'm going to throw that on the stockpile in a moment. And click it. Nothing with 63, just 62 is the magic number. Oh. No, never mind, we got a song. Alright, 62, we'll keep this. We'll increment this value a little bit later. Because this is where the good stuff is, right around that 60 range. Maybe it's because it's getting to the higher value of 64, and that's maybe the range of the data that you can store. So they stuck all like the longer stuff at the end, and maybe they sliced that up. That's what I'm guessing. Either way, we'll throw this on the stockpile. I did want to test a couple other things while we're here. Is do the animals do the same thing? They do. All animals do this. That's great. That makes it a lot easier.
Pepper, cabbage.
You did well!
I don't want to load. I'm gonna go here. That means in the notes we don't have to explain, like, you only have to click on the donkey, which is a little confusing, but we'll throw this on the stockpile and say, what was the name of that book about the animals that like raised a government revolt? Animal Farm. We'll call it Revolts on Animal Farm.
You found it!
Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense.
Cabbage.
You did well!
Yeah, Animal Farm, thank you. Maybe I'm awful coming up with names.
White.
The animals learn to talk. I like that.
Flower.
And let's try. Now that we have that on the stockpile, we can open this in the blast editor. And I want to try some other values. This one's 93, so this is a little bit too high. Load. And she's saying goose with 93. 94? Is this another animal? Let's check. It is! Wow, so we found... That's kind of neat. Alright, so all the animals are stored around like the 90s. Around the 90 range. Let's try 120. Which is the max value, FF.
Corn. Bull.
Super!
Duck. Beginning. Bull.
Super!
Elbow. Beginning. The jump is the bend your car. The chop. Bull. The frog. Empty. Bull.
Super!
Goose. Beginning. Bull.
Super!
Jump. Beginning. The knee. Corn. The hold up your empty. The bend your chalk. The
I almost like this one better because instead of the loud jarring buzzing sound, you have a dog bark.
Bull.
Super!
Alright, we're gonna keep 2 of these. I think this will be the second one. We're gonna send it to the stash, and keep that in mind, and let's bring this down to like 50. I wanna see what's around there. I know, isn't it? Oh my god. I think the way they loaded the audio files, they had one giant one, and then they just spliced that one to use for the different audio files that they need. And we're just playing the full one. So 50.
Sound. Sound.
This sound. And we're using Hell Genie, so we're forcing, no matter what, the sound that will be played is the one that we're defining. If we use the set value, it would only be once, but we're forcing it to always be the same value. So we keep on clicking on them, they'll keep doing the same thing. Let's try... So 63 was around the range that had another interesting result. Let's try like 68. Actually 64. The absolute top limit. Oh, nothing with that. Alright, that's interesting.
Pumpkin.
Oh no, there we go. Get a little music out of that.
Squash. Shake your 8.
What's that, like,
Sound.
little patter sound in the background?
Sound.
Alright, we'll send that to the stash too. So this one, we'll call Luigi. Oh, I can do some inappropriate names. Let's see. What's a kid-friendly game since this is about preschool learning? Luigi plays with his chalk.
Pumpkin.
And that's just chalk. There's nothing inappropriate about that. Nothing at all. What was the other one we had? Was it this one? No. I think I was changing the one as we're going along.
Horse. Corn. Bull.
Super!
Duck. Beginning. Bull.
Super!
Elbow.
Oh, this was the one. Never mind.
Jump is the bend your car. The bull. The frog. Empty. Bull.
Super!
Super!
Beginning. Bull. Jump. Beginning.
I love it. This is the max value, alright. Let's try 60. I just want to play with this a little bit more, then we'll move on.
Sound.
I'll try, we heard that. And 61 was the last one in this range. Choose your character. Ooh.
Potato. Front. Apple. Cherries. Onion. Black. Show me. 9.
Is that the end? I think it's over. I love them all. I want to keep them all, but we're gonna stick with the 2 that we got. The animals learn to talk, and Luigi plays with his chalk. Hey, it rhymes! I didn't even notice that. Alright, we're gonna go back to the save state here.
You found the donkey.
Good. And we're gonna switch from the we'll keep the Hell Genie engine. We had some interesting results of that. The Hell Genie engine is topped at the max cheats, so we'll bring the intensity down to 300, since that's our maximum amount of cheats anyways. And we'll see if we get anything else from that.
You found the donkey.
Get some nice, like, hair on the animals.
You found the donkey.
Prospect menu. You found the key, Dawn. And that's not the right animal. That's the same. I love it. Infinite possibilities.
You found the donkey.
Oh boy. That's some visual mess. Can I still click on stuff? I can.
You chose the dog. You chose the pig.
I kind of want to throw one of those weird, creepy talking ones in with this.
Picked the cow.
Yeah, what? We could do like a hybrid corruption. That gives us an opportunity to use even a 3rd one of those weird talking ones. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this in Block Selector. I'm gonna screenshot this because I want to keep an eye on that source address, which I don't have memorized, which I should. I'll quickly throw this into a file.
You picked the horse.
You picked the horse. Red Dead, anyone? And now with our most recent corruption, this kind of visual one that we want to keep, I'm gonna open that in the Blast Editor. And we'll go through whittling this down into just a few memory writes, so we have a more stable running game. However, we might not be able to disable too much, because this is a lot of visual corruptions going on at the same time. But we'll see if we can. And I forgot what the beginning state looked like. Was it like this?
You found the donkey.
No, it wasn't. Let me enable everything first. This is how it should look.
You found the donkey.
Okay. So it's after we finish talking to the animal, everything switches, colors, palette swap. So it's randomly disable 50%. Let's see if we can achieve that effect.
You found
Ooh.
the donkey.
That even looks better. I like that better. Alright, let's remove disabled. And let's see if we can keep this going.
You found the donkey.
Yep, that's what we're looking for. Keep going, keep whittling. Remove our memory rights. That's not what we want. So we're gonna invert disabled and check if this is what we want.
You
That is.
found the donkey. You found
And you'll notice we remove some of the visual corruptions in terms of like the characters being all kind of chopped up and not looking too good, and we just have this coloration, which I like, and I love when we just get that bare minimum, because then it's more stable, it looks nicer, you can understand what's going on. This one have the right effects?
You
Yeah, it did.
found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
And here we have like 10 memory rights, which is perfect.
You found the donkey.
We're down to 5 or 6.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Down to just 2. This might just be one corruption.
You found the donkey.
Yeah, it looks like it is. So it's just this one memory right here. So 1C88, the value of 90, creates this beautiful illustration. So we're going to send that to our stash. and I did that a little bit wrong. So it's in the stash, and what I'm going to do actually now is I'm going to send, let's see, I'm going to create a save state with this, just in 10, and we'll call this, tester. Well, let me load this, and I'll create the save state here. Okay, and now I'm going to blast that save state with an intensity of 1 with the Genie, so we're essentially creating the same exact corruption, but now I can edit this extra parameter, and here I'm going to throw in that one of those like extra talking corruptions that we had ran into earlier. So that's an address 2DE3. Let's try, I think we had like 63, 61, but we had FF and 62. Let's try just 60.
Sound.
Ooh, that didn't persist sadly, so let's see. Does this even have that corruption?
You found the donkey.
No, this one does.
You found
Okay.
the donkey.
The save state, oh, the save state doesn't have it. Okay. So let's go back to here and create another save state. Save. And this should, yeah, okay. And now if you load, the issue doesn't persist, which is interesting. Okay. Because I want to add a row here, but I'm not entirely sure how I can add a row to the blast editor, because I've always run into trouble doing that. Let's see. It's like a blast generator, I guess I can try. In which case I'm just going to copy over, you won't be able to see this because I'm not going to create another window for it, but I'm going to copy essentially the two corruptions we have and put them together into one generator file, if that makes sense at all. Probably not. So we're going to do blast type, help Genie. Now the generator is a little bit different and I'm not too familiar with that. Alright. Let me see if I throw this on the stock file. So this is visual effect. Did I pause it? I did. Unpause. Load. There we go. Good. And now from here, let's see. I can clear my history since we don't need anything there. Can I blast? No, it's still the save state. Oh, I have an idea. Okay, I got it. Let's just do intensity of 2. Intensity of 2. Originally, I think blasting save state 2. Yeah, that was original. Now this gives us 2 rows within the blast editor. It does perfect, and so now we just need to copy over the 2 rows. The only problem with that is I need to know what the visual effect source address was. So that was, we're just going to copy it in Notepad, 1C8A, the value of 90. Okay. So now I can open this in my stash history, the most recent one with the 2 rows, and we're going to change this to be 1C8A. With the value of 90. That's for our visual corruption. And we're also going to change the ladder, and we may adjust this a little bit, but it's going to be to address 2DE3 with the value of 60. And we may not be set on 60 for now, but we'll try it for the time being. Yep, perfect, that's what we're looking for, but we're going to adjust that value of 60 to something that sounds a little more interesting. 62.
Plant.
You found it! You found it!
Pepper. Cabbage.
You did well!
And there's one that sounded better. Let's try 61.
Sauce.
There's that enthusiastic guy saying something. 5.
Potato. Apple. Yellow. Banana. 5. Chin. Over. 6. Turnip. That's
66.
Clover. Yellow. Great. Great. Top.
You know what, this actually fits a little bit better, I think. So we may keep it with 66, because then you have the music and it looks all creepy and it sounds kind of odd. I might keep it with 66, let's try 67 and 68, then I'll swap back. And 68.
Show me.
Show me! Alright, we'll keep it with 66. Oh, well. There's some like dog yelping. Alright, 66 it is. That's our final corruption. We'll send this to the stash, and we'll delete visual effect because that was just a tester. Remove that one. And we'll throw this one on the pile. And we'll call this... Shoot, I always gotta think of names beforehand. Now I gotta think of a name. Yoshi...
Clover. Yellow.
Yoshi tries a mushroom. Yeah. Alright, cool. And we're ready to move on. So, let's do some more corruptions. We have an intensity of 2. We want to bring that intensity up to 300. Yeah, we clear our history.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
You pieces of... That almost sounds offensive.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Oh, something we didn't try was re-rolling that visual effect. Let me try that real quick. Yeah, we're just gonna get different variations of the visuals. That's cool looking. Sauce!
This sound. Apple, yellow, banana.
Oh, that's so wrong.
10, over, 6, turn up the 2s.
Turn up the 2s? Man, you're preschool as fuck.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Alright, let's try changing engines here. So we're gonna swap over to the distortion engine and see if we get any interesting results of that.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
We may need to mess with these variables a little bit. We'll bring the intensity up to 2000 and the distortion delay down to 10.
You found the donkey.
And I'm not entirely sure actually how well the distortion engine works with the glitch harvester, because usually I use the distortion engine when we're auto corrupting, like for now, and it's too high of corruption. But it backs up data and reuses it a couple seconds later, in this case 10 steps later. But if you're just blasting one instance, I don't think it works with the glitch harvester. Only in real time.
Found the donkey. You found the
Yeah.
pig.
Anyways, we're gonna not try that. We're gonna try. I think same for the freeze engine. This freezes data,
Chose the
which doesn't let it change. So
You picked the
if we chose to like freeze the sound file, it wouldn't
You
change
picked the horse.
in between these. It's kind of similar to the Hell Genie engine. To make that simple. Let's also do this. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's do this. Let's mess with the music. I've done music in a while. I'll bring the intensity down to 800 and see if we can get some music corruptions. Oh, we already used the freeze engine. We want to switch over to the nightmare. Which might be 800 is probably a little too high. Let's try like 40. Let's also try, instead of random blast type, we'll try tilt. I kind of like this. Oh, what's wrong with me? How do I load? There we go. Let's keep that one. We'll open that in the blast editor. And since we use such a low intensity, this should go real quick. So disabling all these. That's not the issue we're looking, or that's not the corruption we're looking for, so we can swap. That is. Ooh, that has some cool sound to it, though. I almost want to throw this in the stash and deal with. I'm going to throw this in the stash and deal with it later, actually. This other half. And I'm going to make a quick note on the stash history and say, need music. And we'll work on that later. I want to first deal with the other corruption we're looking for. So, I don't know if I inverted it already. I didn't. Invert, load. There we go. Okay, cool. Just, oh. Oh, shoot, the neat music one didn't stay because I didn't know these safe states are tied to each other. Oh, that's fine. So I'm gonna pause that since that sounds awful. We have this one saved, so we'll call it, there's a condition where you repeat stuff over and over again. And I don't mean to make fun of it, but I'm going to call this animal stutter. I feel bad naming it that. We're not going to call it that. Let's rename it. We're going to call this animal, maybe, I'm sure by the end of doing corruptions I'm going to be much better at naming stuff. How about spooking some animals? Animals are spooked. Yeah. Okay. And was this the original that had this effect? Let's see. Yeah, this was. So I'm going to open this in the blast editor. Stop. And see if I can find that music corruption again, because I like the sound of that. Semantic satiation. Satiation. What does satiation mean? I gotta Google that. Oh, okay. Oh, you're going back to that thing. That is a much better and more, I guess, politically correct way to phrase it. Yes, I like that much better. I wonder if I should throw that on the naming. Ooh, get this music corruption. Move 50. And you can hear in the background of that the pig squealing, so I know it's both the corruptions are existing. I just want to separate the two. There it is. Okay, perfect. So now we can get rid of the pig squealing. Don't need that anymore. There we go, and we have our single instruction. And I almost want to throw this on that visual one that we had earlier, but then we won't have as diverse of a stockpile, so I'll just keep it with this one. We'll send this to the stash. And we need a name for this one. Anxious farmhouse. Anxious. This isn't a farmhouse. This is a barn. Anxious barn.
You found the pig.
And I'll make a note that this is just a music corruption.
You chose the pig. The pig.
Okay. And we start fresh again.
You found the donkey.
Get the Mario effects repeated there.
You found the donkey. You found the donkey. You found the donkey.
Let's try switching games. We haven't switched games in a while. Let's go back to... I know counting's a fresh save, so we'll go back to counting. But I want to switch games. Okay, I haven't done a lot of these other ones. I don't even know what this one is.
Let's go to Body World.
Body World. Oh...
Clap your hands.
He doesn't even make the clapping sound effect. What are these guys? They just wave. Oh, that makes me uncomfortable. Insert.
Touch your chin.
Alright, we're gonna mess with some WRAM here. See if we can corrupt Mario. Oh, while we're here, we can just do CGRAM real quick. Just to mess with the visuals. Yeah, there we go. That's a crusty Mario. Oh, what's up with the sun? Can I click on it? He raises his eyebrows. That's not creepy at all. Gee, I didn't make a save state. Let's rewind. Okay, let's create a save state here. Just in state 1. And we'll select the WRAM memory domain. And we'll do an intensity of... Let's start off with 1,000.
Touch your chin.
Or don't. I don't know if I want to corrupt... Oh. As I'm clicking on the chin, or after I've clicked on the chin, we'll see. That was kind of neat, his hat's gone, but...
Stomp your foot.
He doesn't even say anything.
Touch your chin. Touch your chin.
Oh, he's missing a foot in that one. Jesus.
Touch your chin.
Is this... Oh yeah, this actually works. Oh wow. I kinda like this one.
Wiggle your nose.
Alright, I'll keep this one, and I already have a name for it, but I have to know the guy's name. Oh man. The superhero. And he's invisible. He's invisible, man. Okay, cool. I shouldn't have expected any more creativity with that name. So, let's open this in the Blast Editor. And we have a fairly high corruption, so this might take a little bit to nail down, but it's a fairly easy corruption to spot. We just have to make sure Mario's head is in there. Easy enough. Oop, and actually just did that incorrectly on accident. Whoops. Alright, ready this again. Open selected. Randomly disable half. And load. Invert and load. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. So if you remove, randomly disable, load, and keep going in this fashion until we have just a couple memory addresses. And what I'm doing here, this is called sanitizing your corruptions. And it's very important to sanitize your corruptions. When I started off, I didn't sanitize any of my corruptions. And really, they only last a couple seconds because you're sending so much stuff to the game that they're not very stable when they crash. It's good to have one because, you know, someone plays it, they want to mess around a little bit, they want to see what it has to offer, maybe they want to see some other stuff that it could do. And you want to sanitize corruption for that. I do admit sometimes it's interesting just to have the randomness. But crashes are no fun. No one likes to crash. Okay, and we have our singular instruction that causes this effect, which is 69 with a... Oh, we're using tilt values, I didn't know. That's why we got this kind of corruption with the tilt value. So, just the value of 1 we're sending. We're adding that value to the game. And that creates this effect. Cool, so we can send this to the stash, and close this down. And from the stash, we can send it to the stockpile, and call it Invisible Man. Cool. We don't need any notes for that. We're good to go. We are going to reroll that, though. Still tilt values. I want to see this to subtract or add the tilt value. So we're not seeing any change there because it's only a value of 1. But I want to see, can we do random values? Does it let us do that? Probably not. Because we're in tilt. How might we go about that? I can manually change this to be different values, which I'm going to try. So let's try 2. Okay, nothing with 2. Let's try 4. Nope, nothing. And we'll try 64, just for the hell of it. And nothing. Alright, so we'll keep that parameter value at 1. The original one we set it at. Alright, we're all set there, and we're ready to corrupt some more. I've switched the blast type from tilt to random, because I usually prefer randomness to start off with. And if we don't get anything from that, we'll switch to tilt. And that's crusty. And it crashed, alright. His hat disappears a lot. Is his hat interactable? I don't click anywhere now. Touch your chin.
Wiggle your nose.
Oh. That still works too.
Touch your chin.
He reaches through the corruption
Touch your chin.
to touch his chin. I love it.
Touch your hair.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Clap your hands.
So many visuals going on.
Touch your chin.
Oh, when he did that, these guys got corrupted. No, that's still right though.
Clap your hands.
Oh, he can't clap his hand because he only has one hand. That's just sad.
Touch your chin.
That sun makes me so uncomfortable. Look at that. Sunday should a son should not be doing that in a kid's game.
Touch your chin.
Wait a minute, did he just stay there? Did he just stand there with his...
Touch your chin.
He did. Oh wait, until I move my mouse. What? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought that had a much more interesting effect. More corruptions.
Touch your chin.
Oh, Peach has gone off the boat. They decided to eat the weakest.
Touch your chin.
Oh, he can't touch his chin because he's missing his other arm.
Bend your elbow.
What elbow? Oh, it crashed because he can't bend his elbow. Oh, man.
Snap your fingers.
Well, that works, but I want to clap. Oh, my mouse is gone. Oh, no, there it is. I want to clap.
Clap your hands.
Alright.
Touch your chin.
His left hand seems to disappear a lot. I don't know why that's the case. What's wrong with your kneecap, Mario?
Stomp your foot.
Oh!
Stomp your foot.
Alright. I was switch from random to tilt type.
Snap your fingers. Touch your chin. Touch your chin.
We may have exhausted this section. Let's try Help Genie. We'll bring intensity down to 300 to max the max cheats. To match the max cheats.
Touch your chin. Touch your chin. Touch your chin.
Lots of odd visuals going on. Oh, his arm's up there this time.
Touch your chin. Snap your fingers.
Oh, wait, clap your hands. Where's your hand? It's over here.
Clap your hands.
Oh, it makes me so happy. Alright, let's keep going.
Touch your chin. Touch your
Oh, finally his other arm disappears.
Clap your hands.
Kind of.
Touch your chin.
Does he raise his eyebrows too? I bet he does. Yeah. Okay, good.
Touch your hair.
You're right, Mario.
Touch your chin.
That's not your chin.
Touch your hair.
Alright. I think we've exhausted everything here. Oh god. Did I speak too soon?
Wiggle your nose. Touch your chin.
Ugh. It's just a pile of flesh. Alright, we're gonna move on. Go down here. What else can we do? We did these three. Can I click on you guys? You guys wave. Oh, you do wave. Good. Let's try shapes.
Let's go to Shape World.
Shape world. don't get it. Do I draw? No. Do I click? Wait, what's shape one about this? Oh, the square.
You chose the square.
That's kind of cool. You can control her though. That's neat for a kids game. I'd be so happy I could do that. All right. Let's corrupt it. First, just for funsies, we're gonna do this. Yeah, it's dark. It's starting to look like Splatoon. Oh shit, I forgot save state. Always forget the save state. Let's go back. Oh, did one of those persist? It looks like it did. Shoot. Let's load this one.
Let's go to Shape World.
There we go. And wait, now it's Yoshi? Shoot.
You chose the circle.
I want to corrupt Peach. Let's do another save state. And just out of curiosity's sake, I want to see if cart RAM or OEM are being used. It still looks like no. Maybe cart RAM is. It might have some visual effects, but for the most part, no. Let's try just cart RAM. Let's see if that does have visual effects. Cart ROM. Ooh, it's the ROM. I don't want to mess with that. Did I crop it too bad? Here, let me reboot core. Sounds like I messed with the music. Okay, core's rebooted. Let's say. There we go. And we'll select WRAM and start our corrupting.
You found the circle.
Looks like I found a blood pit. Hey, thank you for those, Baby Blue Fort. Always appreciate it.
You found
Circle off screen, alright.
You found the square.
Alright, these aren't clickable. Oh, he is.
You chose the
The text gets messed up.
you books.
You books! What? Oh boy. I like that. Let's swap to the Hell Genie engine though, and we'll blast some random data.
You found the circle.
Okay, nothing for that. Let's increase the intensity up to 1000. Just in case we find one, we don't have to sanitize it too much.
Circle.
I haven't clicked on the circle yet.
You found the circle.
What is that? In the background.
Found the circle.
Is that too quiet to hear? That's too quiet to hear on the stream. Oh, you can almost hear it. It's in my right ear. There's someone whispering circle over and over again. It's so quiet though. Can I boost that? Here, let me do... Oh yeah, feel free. Absolutely. More the merrier. You can very barely hear it. It's very loud on my end. They're whispering circle after the fact. I kind of want to throw that on the stockpile. I'm going to go for that. Lower the volume back down to just screech in everyone's ears. And let's corrupt, let's sanitize that corruption. So we're going to open that in the blast editor. And from there, we're going to randomly disable half of the corruption just to make it a little bit more stable and see if the issue persists.
Circle.
And I think, yeah, when it starts by saying circle, that's how we know it
Found
persists.
the circle.
Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. So I'm going to remove disabled.
You found the circle.
In that case, it doesn't exist.
Circle. Found the circle.
There we go.
Circle.
Perfect. And I'm curious, I haven't actually tested if that happens to the other shapes too.
Circle.
Let's try the square.
You chose the square.
Yeah, it does. Oh wow, it just kind of repeats all the audio. I love it. All right, we're gonna keep moving on. Almost got all this broken down.
Circle.
We want just 1 and 2 memory writes.
Circle. 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 Circle.
Okay, perfect. We have our singular instruction. And let me turn the volume all the way up just so you can hear that. Oh, it starts getting demonic too. Shoot. Well, anyways, it exists. If you want to hear it clear as the day, feel free to download the stockpile after I release this video. We'll send this to our stash. And from our stash, we can throw it to our stockpile. And we can call it... I know how to spell schizophrenia now. Let me Google that.
You found
Schizophrenia. Schizophrenic shapes. There we go. With no intent of offense. If that is offensive, feel free to ask me to remove it. Don't mean to do that. Alright, there we go. So that's all set. Do I have it paused? I do. Unpause it.
circle.
And we can do some new corruptions. Right, Yoshi.
You found the circle.
I found the crusty circle. Oh boy.
You found the circle. You found the circle.
Oh, something I can also try is with the schizophrenic shapes, I can try re-rolling that corruption and see if we get a different result from it.
Circle. You found the circle.
Same result on that one.
You found the circle.
And nothing there. Alright, so we can move on. Do some clean ones. I got 7 viewers. Welcome, everyone. That's a lot of people.
You found the circle.
Right now we're just corrupting
You found the
some Mario Preschool games. And getting some crusty results, but some wonderful results nonetheless.
You found the circle. You found the circle.
Alright, let's try upping this intensity up to 2000. May crash a little bit more often, but we may get some disgusting looking Yoshi. God, look at that.
You found the circle.
Was that Luigi?
You
It was!
found the
Only for half a second though. Error, no way to get in path. Who just hopped off? Come back. Alright. Yoshi gives up. Yoshi totally gives up. Wait. Is that only when I click on something? Let me see. It is! What about if I click on square?
You chose
Only circle, that's interesting. It really is truly a wonder. A, it's fun, and B, just produces the weirdest results, and Yoshi just disappeared. What? like this though. You click circle and Yoshi quits stage job. So let's sanitize that corruption. Open that in the blast editor. Now that we have a 2000 intensity, we have a lot more stuff to sanitize, which is even more of a reason to sanitize to begin with, so the game's a little bit more stable in the end. And we're just going to keep disabling these until we have a single memory instruction, or one or two. Just trying to get rid of these superfluous memory rates.
You found the circle. You found the circle.
And we're nearly there. Got about 50 left. Now 25. 15. 8. Oh, I also noticed I didn't even notice he goes to another area. Okay, cool.
You
Yeah, quit
chose
this one though. Circle. Good.
You found the circle.
Alright, we got our single effect now. I'm going to throw that into our stash, and from there we can throw it into our stockpile. And we can call it Find the Circle to Anger Yoshi. Something like that. If anyone thinks of a clever name, throw that in chat. And we can now re-roll that corruption, see if we get anything interesting from this effect. He does the same thing on this one. If we get anything else out of this, doesn't seem like it. Mostly the same effect. So we'll leave that be.
You found the circle.
Oh, actually.
You found the circle.
This one just relocates the circle. Alright.
You picked the square.
What?
You chose the oval.
Or do they automatically relocate?
You found the
I don't get it. Alright. We'll start some fresh corruptions. Let's actually try, so right now we're doing random data. We're going to switch to tilt data, which is just randomly increment or decrement values based on the chosen corruption. And we're going to lower intensity down to 1500. So hopefully it'll crash a little less often. And so let's click on anywhere, it looks like. Oh no, just can't click on the circle.
You chose the square. You found the oval.
Huh, alright.
You found the circle.
That crashes it, wonderful.
You found the
Alright, let's start corrupting the audio, because that's always fun. So we're going to mess with the APU RAM, which is the audio. And from there, we're going to do, let's keep it on tilt values, but we're bringing the intensity way down, because we don't want screeching ears. We're bringing it down to 40.
You found the You found the You found the circle.
A little bit of music variation. Actually, that kind of sounds nice. Huh. I almost want to keep that, but we'll move on.
You found the circle.
We'll increase the intensity. Let's bring it up to 100. There's one guy who covers stuff like that. Is it Sendex? Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if you were talking to me or not. But there's a guy who covers like all the stuff like Paper Mario. I think his name's Sendex or something like that. He's fantastic. He always says those like, you know, data understanding of stuff in Paper Mario. Stridex, thank you. That is the guy. Check that guy out if you haven't. He's fantastic.
You found the circle.
Oh, this just sounds sad. I like this though. It's like sad trombone. No, let's keep it. I like it. From here, we're gonna open this in the blast editor and start randomly disabling it here. Sad dude. That is what I'm gonna name it. That is a good name. I was just checking out a guy today. I should find his name. He does these fantastic. He still does corruptions, but he does these compilations of music corruptions, which I love when you get a good sounding music corruption because it doesn't sound like the squelching, awful metal sound that you usually get. It's like it's a nice change. So it's good hearing stuff like that. I should find that guy's name. I'll plug him. There we go. We have our single instruction. Oh, we're using tilt values. That's a tilt. Alright. Send that to the stash. And from the stash, throw it on the stockpile and call it sad dude.
You found the
And in the notes, I'm going to say credit to Baby Blue
you
Ford
found the circle.
for name. There we go. And I'll put a note that this is just a music corruption, because sometimes it seems like you might need to specify. Okay, great. And let me unpause here. And I'm gonna rerolling won't work for that as well, because since we're using tilt values, you can only either add or subtract the bit that you're manipulating. So we're not gonna see that much variation with a reroll. If we're using random values, we'll see a lot of variation. So I'm actually gonna swap to the random blast type. We might need to decrease that intensity since it's high intensity for randomness. I think I decreased the speed. Let me see here. Sounds like I did. Yes, there's a hotkey that decreases speed on the emulator, and I don't know which one it is. Every time I hit it, it's awful. Alright. It's like alien bloops. We may have more luck with tilt values though. Let me keep it on tilt. Oh, that's a nice sound to it. But at least with tilt, you're less likely to mess up a value. Actually, now that I think about it. Also, this sounds nice. We can specify min and max values for the random types of data we do. So essentially, if I did maximum value of 1, I'm doing the same thing as a tilt, as opposed to, we're not subtracting though, so that's fair. I guess, can I do negative values? No, because that would be negative 1, I would think. Let's just do from like 0 to 4. That full range. Ooh. That loops back. Now it's a whole instrument though. Oh my god, that's the instrument. Oh, I love it. I don't know who's talking, but it's someone talking, I believe. It's circle! They're saying the word circle and it's an instrument. Alright, let's clean this corruption up. I love this. I love doing this. Alright. Actually, this one, I think it's basically... Did the original have a piano? Let's see. No, it didn't. It's all just circle. Alright. The nice thing about knowing this memory address, another reason to plug sanitization of corruptions, is if we know the source address, we can see if we change the instrument that's being sent to it. Maybe we can use different voice lines, which would be interesting. Which we're going to try for. Either different instruments or different voice lines or, you know, stuff like that. Alright, here we go. We have our one address, right? Which is actually the value of 0, which is super interesting. I guess we don't write the value 0 a lot. Anyways, we'll send that to the stash, and we'll throw this right into the stockpile. We'll call it circle instrument.
You found the circle.
Oh yeah, I didn't even try clicking on this stuff. This all still work.
You found the
Yeah, it all still works. Just the instrument. So circle instrument, I'll put in the notes saying the instrument for the piano has been switched to the circle voice line. Or at least it sounds like it. Alright, and I pause. And I'm going to open this in the blast editor. How should we go about this? We're going to reroll first. So it's a reroll. And from that reroll, I would like to open that in the blast editor and try changing these parameter values. So we'll bring it to 1 now. Okay. Try 2. Alright. We tried 3. We'll try 4. Let's try 16. I want to go like way outside the range. Okay, similar effect. 32. Seems like that's outside the range. 64. Ooh. That might be an overflow. And we'll try FF. It sounds like that almost controls the pitch. Like, this is even a higher pitched sound of them saying circle. Huh. Got some cool, like, new age music to it, too. Because there's also someone saying circle in a really, like, bassy way. Don't want to throw this on the stash. Yeah, this is sort of an empty stockpile, so let's throw this on, too. We'll call it new age.
You found the circle.
New age, get it? Preschool. New age music.
You found the
And let's do some new corruptions. And we've got enough music corruptions, so let's actually swap back to WRAM. And let's also not do it here. Let's move to another zone. Which I think it's a pipe, right? Yeah. What have we not done yet? We haven't done the balloons and we haven't done the theater one. Let's try the theater first.
Let's go to opposite world.
Opposite world. Alright.
You chose that one, which is hard.
That's correct.
You chose that one, which is soft.
Alright. Oh, hot and cold. Oh, okay, I see. I get it now.
You picked that one, which is hot.
Oh, also, I love the music they use for this. What is that? Mario World 3? But recomposed? Anyways, let's do some corruptions. We're bringing this intensity up to 500. Oh, I just want to appreciate the music for a sec. Man. Okay, we'll move on. We'll corrupt that music in a sec, too. Shoot, I forgot a save state. Alright, let's do a save state first.
Let's go to opposite
Okay, there we go. Make a save state. And the music changes? Oh man, this game keeps on giving. Alright, we got a save state there. Perfect. And we'll start corrupting it. I guess we should, let's be up here.
You chose that one, which is hard.
Okay. And save. Then we keep clicking on it.
You found that one, which is... You found that one. You found that one, which...
Okay, click on that one.
You found that one, which is hard. You found that...
Let's try higher values. We'll bring it up to 1500. 3 times as large. Which we may crash a little bit more or get a little bit more clown on it.
You found that
That's all right.
one, which is hard.
Okay, we may drop the intensity down. Yeah, let's bring it down to 1000. Oh, I also noticed let's change this maximum value to be FF again. We're just temporarily testing the value of 4.
You found that one, which is hard. You found that one, which is... You found that...
Alright, not too much going on there. Let's try tilt values.
You found that... You found...
Just about the same for all these. Not too much going on yet.
You...
It's like you got it wrong. Beep. Let's try the Hell Genie engine. Next cheat's 300, so this will cap at 300.
You found that one, which is hard.
Har!
You picked that one, which is hot.
Cuts off the last letter.
You found that one, which is hard. You chose that one. You found
Oh, what's wrong with Yoshi?
You picked that.
And why does it cut off after?
You found that one, which is cold.
Salty? The dry one.
Found
Oh.
that one, which is... You found that... You found that... You found that... You found that one.
Alright, not having too much luck there. Let's try... I'll mess with the cart ROM because I wasn't sure how that... Oh wait, no, never mind, I don't. Don't want to mess with the cart ROM, don't want to mess with the ROM. And I don't think we have any object files, we can test that here. What did you wrong? Oh, yeah, load the save state. There we go. Without the cheats. Yeah, no OAM. And if we want to mess with the visuals, we can do CG RAM, which looks pretty. And for the audio files, we can do APU RAM. But we want to use the Nightmare Engine for that, because we don't want to keep overwriting the music. Or we can't. Well, let's actually try that. We haven't done that yet. Let's do the Hell Genie with the APU RAM. So for the music files, we're going to do a very small cheat, a limit of 10. That might not be enough. Okay, let's try 100. Okay, a lot of this sounds terrible. Yeah, because that's got a lot of buzzing, which I don't care for. Let's try... God, that sounds terrible. Nightmare Engine. But with random values, and we have to knock the intensity down again to 300. To 100. To 50? It's kind of a touchy one. Oh, I know why, because we're doing 0 to FF. Let's do 0 to 4 again. So kind of low values. Oh, I like that. It has a cut to it. Cuts the note. It's like that squelch that you get when you have a really bad music corruption and it just screams in your ear, but it's playing along and it's being nice and it's playing at a soft value. It's an instrument. I like that. Not something I'm gonna throw on the stockpile, but it still sounds nice. Alright, from here, let's try corrupting the overworld a bit. Oh, did I crash? Yeah, load. Oh, I guess the last one we haven't done is the blue one. We can do the blue one real quick.
Let's go to
Color World. How do we do this?
You found the blue
Oh, we'll
circle.
corrupt that clown, that's for sure. Let's just get CGram ready. And we're gonna do this in the glitch harvester because I probably want to save the first corruption. Make a save state. And here we go. Oh, it's not terrible. Okay. I was hoping for some creepier clown faces, but this is fairly mellow. I guess we can't really mess with the face, it's only the colors around the face. Yeah, alright. But what we can do is you make it look like this. Yeah, there we go. And you know, that wasn't... Yeah, let's try really high values of like 3,000. And let's not do VRAM. That's funny, it always defaults to green.
You found the blue circle. You found the
I
red
kind of like this aesthetic. What would I name this? Kind of looks like the Metal Gear interface for his video chat. Let's do that. We'll throw on the stockpile after he sanitizes it a bit. This one might be tricky to sanitize though. A, because it's such a large intensity, and B, because I think it's a culmination of a lot of the corruptions that makes this color. So I might throw this one on the stockpile as is, where I normally don't do that. But we can try loading this corruption. Actually, that almost looks creepier now that I think about it.
You found the blue circle.
Okay, we're gonna throw this on. We won't worry about disabling anymore though. Although, it doesn't go with our naming convention. Let's do this. I like this better. And we'll leave this as is. Won't mess with it anymore. I will call it
You found the blue circle.
Metal Gear.
You found the blue circle. You found
Video
the
chat.
blue circle.
Yeah. Okay.
You found the blue.
And let's mess with WRAM now. We're gonna update the maximum value for Nightmare up to FF again. Oh, that's why when we're doing the colors, it only got a green. Because we're always setting them to be 0 to 4, which must be a specific color. This is probably too high of a corruption. Bring it down to 1000. Does Yoshi say it like that? Can I?
You found the red heart.
Oh, he doesn't stay like that. You know, let's get that effect where it kind of loses it. We'll break that down to 1 corruption, and we'll apply it with the Hell Genie engine instead of the Nightmare engine. Because I kind of want to keep that. We can make a joke about him being antsy. Let's open this in the blast editor. Good, that's what we're looking for. $250 left. Shoot. $125 left. 63 left. $31, almost there. Four, 2, and 1. Okay, we got our single instruction. And I'm going to write this real quick down into Notepad. It's either written down somewhere. So we're setting address 3321 with the value D5. Okay. We're not going to do anything else with that. We're actually going to now switch to the Hell Genie engine. We're going to do an intensity of 1, and we're going to blast data. And it doesn't matter what that effect did because we're going to edit it out. And now for this, we're using Hell Genie. We're going to do source address. Change this to 3321. And parameter value being D5. And what this is essentially going to do is it's always going to force Yoshi to have that kind of tweaking effect, even after his value of that changes. Maybe this, I don't actually know what this does, maybe it sets him to be running. Oh, this one actually makes him go off screen. No way to get to the path. Oh, did he just go off screen in general? Oh, look at that. Can we force him? No. He just bounces into non-existence and then is gone forever. Alright. So it didn't have the desired effect, but that's alright. Kinda cool regardless. Alright, so we'll move on then.
You found the
we need to switch back to Nightmare Engine and bring intensity back up to 1000.
You found the blue circle. You found the blue circle. You found the red heart. You found the red. You found the blue.
I'm curious what the other section of this is, so let's go down here real quick. Linguine and pasta. Make a save state. We're gonna mess with this pumpkin. Oh, unless it crashes. Ooh, did I make a save state on I made a save state on a bad save. Oh, it's okay though. So, save. Nope, now save again. There we go. And Blastia.
You found the. You found. You found the. You found the. You
Okay.
found the orange.
Not too much going on there, so let's do. What else can we mess with? Let's do color. Oh, that's sound. Oh, I killed sound. Let's go back to the overworld, because I think that's the last bit of the corruption I'd like to do. To see if we can mess with any stuff here. So, we're going to make a save state. And we'll mess with WRAM. 1000. I'm not entirely sure what we're looking for. That's a good corruption there where the boat's gone and Yoshi took it with him. That's not a bad one. Got like little riptides going on. Little riptides. Why does Peach always look so angry? Even when she waves, she's not even happy about waving. I think what we can mostly mess with here is the boats, and that's not super interesting, so we may move on if we don't see anything else here. We could try much higher values of corruption, like 5,000. I think we're only messing with that boat mostly. Yeah, it looks like it. Well, you can move the boat location, that's kinda neat. Let's try tilt as well, just to see if that has any other interesting results. We'll bring intensity back down to 2,000. Yeah, not too much to mess with on the overworld screen, unfortunately, but we can do some CG RAM corruptions to mess with the visuals, so it'll look like that. So we could get some nice aesthetics going on, like this has a, what's that even called, that aesthetic look to it. You know, aesthetic spelled out, spaces in between each letter. So that kind of looks neat. Maybe interesting for like a ROM hack if someone was thinking that, but nothing for a stockpile. And we can always mess with music. We'll bring the value down to 200. And we're doing tilt values. Blast send. kinda like this. This sounds alright. Let's keep this one up. We'll throw this on the stockpile. We have a lot of music corruptions. I take too many music ones, I swear. It's easy to make. Oh, it's picking up pace too. Alright. Let's see if we can sanitize this corruption a bit. Music corruptions can be hard to sanitize sometimes. Because it might be multiple memory writes that are causing this effect. Let me listen actually. So this is how it should sound. And we'll try sanitizing it. We may not be able to, and that's alright. It'd be nice to get rid of that droning sound in the background, can we? We can. Yeah, why not? Let's disable this. And keep this result. I like this. Can we go any further is the question? Yeah, that still sounds alright. Keep that. I don't want to take away from it too much. Alright, down to 13 memory writes. We're doing alright. Cool, there we have our singular instruction. To E3F creates this kind of nice sounding sound to it. Nice sounding music to it. So let's send that to the stash. And from the stash we'll call this preschool.exe has stopped working. Oh god, that was creepy, alright. I didn't mean to do that. One of the keys I hit reversed the corruption to the previous value in the stockpile. Let us go back to preschool stop working and reroll that corruption and see if we get anything else sounding interesting. Oh, but this is till values, so actually we won't. That's right. We can move on then. Oh, I want to note that last one was a music corruption. Just so people know. Alright, and I'm gonna mess with system bus just to see if we can do anything there. Bring intensity up to 1000. And blast type to random. Pretty. Looks like they're in the Arctic. They got ice caps. Yoshi turns demonic, alright. Alright, we're not getting too much more luck, so what I'm going to do for this final bit of stream, and then I'm going to do a quick rundown of all the corruptions we got for the stream. That way if you are curious about downloading it, you can just jump to the end of the stream and take a look at everything that's there. So, starting from the top, we have all animals cry. I'm not auto-corrupting, am I? No, I'm good. So,
You found the donkey.
as soon as you select one of these animals, they'll cry endlessly, and everything bleeds into each other. Even the disgusting goose.
You pick
Next we have animals get away. When you select the donkey, it sprints off screen. It has to be the one in the middle slot, but select any of them, they'll just slide off screen straight to the far left,
You chose the pig.
which is interesting. We have that works for me. Whenever you select one of the animals, the guy says,
That works for me. That works for me. That works for me.
"Are you wondering if this is a goose?" Well, it doesn't matter because
That works for me.
then next we have the animals learn to talk.
Plant.
You found it. You found it.
Pepper. Cabbage.
You did well.
You did well.
Apple. Sauce. Chose white.
Jesus. Next we have Luigi plays with his chalk.
Pumpkin.
I'm gonna note that this corruption takes a couple seconds. Which paused the corruption, so let me unpause that. Make sure the speed. Yep, good.
Squash. Shake your egg.
Kind of like that dolphin video or the walrus video where it slaps the stomach. Yeah.
2.
Next we have Yoshi tries a mushroom. And this is a hybrid corruption that includes a nice little music corruption along with it, with some talking. Those two were combinations of two corruptions put together. Nice to throw them together like that. Next we have animals are spooked. Just a bad audio corruption. Next we have anxious barn, where this is just a music corruption, so it has sort of an anxious sound to it. That's all I thought when I heard it. Look at that cat. That's an anxious cat.
You picked the cat.
The dog doesn't even look like a dog. Next we have Invisible Man, which was just a head based on the superhero Invisible. Is he a superhero? Based on the comic book character Invisible Man. I don't know if he's a superhero or not. He must be. Which is still, he's interactable. His chin is still there. His nose is still there.
Wiggle your nose.
And we have schizophrenic shapes,
Circle.
which you won't be able to hear. You have to actually play the corruption to hear this, but when you actually click on something,
Found
it gets
the
repeated very
circle.
quietly in your right ear at very high and low pitches, and it's hard to hear, but just know that it exists. If you find the circle in this one, it angers Yoshi. If you click on square, Yoshi's fine if you click on square.
You chose the
That's okay.
square.
But if you click on circle, which now you don't even have the option to choose on the circle, but if you click on the circle, Yoshi just quits. He doesn't want to deal with it. He's out of here. Goes to a whole nother room. Next we have Sad Dude. And I gotta agree, that is one sad dude. Next we have Circle Instrument, where I don't even know how this happened, but it's great. The instrument for the piano and the guitar and all that got switched with what sounds like the voice line for the woman saying circle.
You found the circle.
you can hear the circle. Like, at one point she says a lower tone of the circle, but just odd, regardless. I'm sad we couldn't re-roll that and change it to different instruments, but still, great result nonetheless. Next we have New Age music, which has that kind of like, when you hear New Age music, it has that kind of like guy doing that sound. I don't even know what that would be called, the bump bump sound. And it sounded like New Age to me. If you want to bump while you're finding some shapes, I gotcha. Next we have Metal Gear Video Chat. I can't think of a better name for that, but it looks like the Metal Gear, like, their greenness to it. Swap this with red and you can make it a virtual boy. And stuff still works here, it's just not the right color.
Found the red heart.
Oh, and it changed. Okay, well, hey. The colors change eventually. And as the very last one, we have Preschool.exe has stopped working, which is a sound corruption. We have a lot of music corruptions, but that's okay. All corruptions are good corruptions. Let's see, I can't open YouTube while that's loading, so. By the way, the other corruptor guy I was talking about is Zero Ducks Given. I recommend checking that guy out, he has some good videos. He has a lot of good videos, he's been doing it for a while, it looks like. Next I paused it there, but we're gonna pull up some music here. Let's see. And I'm gonna pull up someone to host. Thank you for everyone who stopped by. I got a lot of new people today. Hope you check out, my stuff in the future. I do corruptions, I do some playthroughs here and there. If you're interested in seeing anything, or if you want to see anything corrupted, feel free to hit me up. I am totally open to any suggestions. I know, I haven't seen him. It looks like one of his Twitch channels got removed, like his old one, and he made a new one with the new name, but he hasn't been corrupting very often on it. He's been speedrunning here and there, which is still cool, if he likes it, but not too much corrupting, sadly. Let me see if I can find someone to host. This corruption stockpile for this will be uploaded to YouTube. You'll see it on the YouTube link. If you click on YouTube down below, you'll see it. That's where I'm putting all my stockpiles. It will just be a Google Drive link. And as long as you have the real-time corruptor, I think any version of the real-time corruptor, you can still load the stockpiles, but I'm using 3.27b if you want to load them up. So yeah, feel free to check those out. Let's see. I got a guy we can go ahead and host here. Alright, once again, thank you everyone for stopping by, and I hope to see you all again.